We often look at our partners or ourselves and ask, why did I do that? Or why do I feel this way? The answer, my friends, often lies not in the present, but in the past. According to extensive psychological studies, children who had a secure, consistent relationship with their parents growing up tend to have better, more stable interpersonal relationships later in life. Conversely, children who experienced unstable or inconsistent relationships with their caregivers are more likely to develop unhealthy behaviors and instability in their adult romantic lives. There are 5 distinct love styles that are often determined by your childhood experiences. These styles act as a blueprint, a map that was drawn when you were small, guiding how you navigate the complex terrain of adult intimacy. Understanding these styles is not about blaming our parents or dwelling on the past with resentment. It is about awareness. It is about understanding the why so that we can change the how. So, let us journey through these 5 love styles together, with compassion and an open heart, to see what your love style says about your childhood. Number 1 is the avoider. People with the avoider-type lifestyle often come off as distant, unengaged, or aloof. If you are dating an avoider, you might feel like you are constantly hitting a glass wall. They are there physically, but emotionally, they seem miles away. Avoiders do not allow themselves to feel emotions deeply in front of others in order to protect themselves. In fact, they often feel visibly uncomfortable when other people around them get emotional or cry. They value their personal space away from other people above almost anything else. To an avoider, intimacy feels like a trap, and independence feels like safety. If you have the avoider love style, as a child, you may have grown up in a home that did not show a lot of affection. Perhaps your parents were not the type to say, "I love you," or offer hugs freely. They might have put a strong focus on being independent and self-reliant at a very young age. If you were upset by something as a child, maybe you scraped your knee or had your feelings hurt at school, you may not have received the comfort you needed, whether it be emotional reassurance or physical soothing. Over time, a child in this environment learns a hard lesson. No one is coming to help me. So, at some point, you stopped paying attention to your own feelings and needs. You learned to suppress them so that you could deal with the stress and anxiety of having little to no comfort from your parents or caretakers. You learned that the only person you can rely on is yourself, and while that makes you strong, it can also make you lonely. Number 2 is the vacillator. The term vacillate means to alternate or waver between different opinions or actions. It means to be indecisive, to swing back and forth like a pendulum. If you have the vacillator type love style, you likely have a very intense approach to romance. You may tend to idealize new relationships instantly. You meet someone, and suddenly they are the one. You place them on a pedestal, imagining a perfect future together. However, the moment the other person shows any trait or behavior that you did not imagine, maybe they are late for a date, or they say something slightly insensitive, you begin to doubt the relationship entirely. You swing from "this is perfect" to "this is terrible." And you may even consider ending the relationship altogether over minor infractions. As a child, you probably grew up with an unpredictable parent. This is the core wound of the vacillator. Maybe your parent was always finding a reason to leave home, going out often, or meeting new people, leaving you waiting by the window. Or perhaps their mood was unpredictable. One minute they were loving and attentive, and the next they were angry or ignored you completely. Even when you needed them, their availability was inconsistent. Whatever the case may have been, your needs were not your parents' first priority. Because of this inconsistency, you may have developed a deep-seated fear of abandonment. As a child, you never knew when the love would be taken away, so you became hypervigilant. You probably were very sensitive and perceptive, noticing even the slightest sign that someone in your life was distancing themselves or that their mood was shifting. As an adult, this translates into a desperate need for consistent connection, but a terrifying fear that it will inevitably disappear. Number 3 is the controller. If you identify with the controller love type, you probably feel an overwhelming need to have control in a relationship. This is not because you are a power-hungry tyrant, but because you are trying to avoid the vulnerable, negative feelings you experienced as a child. To a controller, the unknown is dangerous. By being in control of every situation, decision, and interaction, you can ensure that you limit your exposure to feelings like humiliation, fear, and helplessness. For the controller, vulnerability equals weakness, and weakness equals pain. The one emotion that does not make you feel vulnerable is anger. Anger feels powerful. Anger gets results. So, you may use anger as a tool to express your emotions or to intimidate others into compliance. You probably have a particular way you like things done, from how the dishwasher is loaded to how your partner dresses, and when those rigid expectations are not met, you may get angry or incredibly stressed. If you identify as a controller, you likely grew up in a home where there was not a sense of protection. This is a heartbreaking reality. When there was some sort of harm in your life, no one was there to stand between you and the danger. No one was there to make sure you were kept safe. You realized early on that the world is a scary place and that you are on your own. You did not like stepping out of your comfort zone because the unknown was threatening. You did whatever you could to keep yourself from experiencing those negative feelings of fear. You learned to be emotionally tough. You learned how to take care of yourself aggressively. You decided that if you were the one in charge, no one could ever hurt you again. Because if you did not take control, you were susceptible to being hurt. And that is a risk you are no longer willing to take. Number 4 is the pleaser. Someone with the pleaser love type has the main focus of making sure others around them are happy, often at a great cost to themselves. If you are a pleaser, you are the ultimate giver. You are the peacemaker. You will sacrifice your own wants, your needs, and even your identity in order to ensure the comfort of those you love. Pleasers have a deeply ingrained habit of monitoring the moods of those around them. You are like a human barometer, constantly sensing the emotional temperature of the room. If someone has a negative change in mood, even if it has nothing to do with you, the pleaser may have an internal struggle with feeling anxious, upset, or stressed. You feel responsible for fixing it. If you are a pleaser, you do not enjoy conflict. In fact, you likely dread it. You do not handle conflict easily because it feels like a threat to your safety. So, you may lie, or do or say what the other person wants just to avoid a fight. It is often incredibly hard for a pleaser to say the word no. As a child, you likely grew up with a parent who was overly protective, angry, or highly critical. They may have had overly high standards they wanted you to meet. If you did not do it as well as they wanted, or if you expressed a differing opinion, you would not get a positive response from them. You might have been yelled at, shamed, or given the cold shoulder. People usually saw you as the good kid, the easy one, the one who never caused trouble. Rather than receiving comfort from your parents, you may have actually been the one giving them comfort when they were being reactive. You might have been the one apologizing for things that were completely out of your control just to keep the peace. Because your parents reacted in such volatile or critical ways, you may have done whatever you could to avoid getting a negative response from them, even if it meant lying about something or hiding your true self. You learned that to be loved, you must be compliant. Number 5 is the victim. This style is perhaps the most painful to discuss because it involves a profound loss of self. Victims often lack self-worth and more than likely suffer from chronic depression or anxiety. Rather than truly living and thriving, they just tend to go through the motions of life, feeling like a passenger in their own body. In relationships, it is not uncommon for them to gravitate toward a controller. This might seem counterintuitive. Why would someone want a partner who dominates them? It is because they mimic what they experienced in childhood. It is familiar. Victims are used to complying. They find it easier, or even strangely comforting, to be with a controller who makes all the decisions, just to get by. It requires less energy, and it aligns with their internal belief that they do not matter. If you have the victim love style, you probably grew up in a chaotic home. You likely had parents that would be angry, erratic, or even violent. The environment was unstable and scary. Learning to be compliant, to make yourself as small and invisible as possible, helped keep any attention off of yourself. If you were quiet, maybe you would not get hurt. Did you ever use your imagination to escape the negativity surrounding you? Did you create elaborate fantasy worlds in your mind where you were safe and loved? That is very common with victims. Being fully present in the real world is often too painful for them, so they dissociate. They detach from their reality to survive it. As adults, they continue this pattern, drifting through relationships, accepting scraps of affection, and tolerating treatment that they do not deserve because they have not yet learned their own value. These 5 love styles, the avoider, the vacillator, the controller, the pleaser, and the victim, help us understand more of the negative ways we react and behave in relationships. They shine a light on the shadows of our past. They explain why we push people away when we want to be held, why we pick fights when we want reassurance, or why we stay silent when we want to scream. It also explains why we are this way, due to our childhood experiences. But here is the most important part, the part I want you to really hear. You are not broken. You are not a prisoner of your past. Just because you identify with one of these styles today does not mean you have to be this way forever. The brain is an incredible organ, capable of change and growth throughout our entire lives. This concept is called neuroplasticity. We can rewire our neural pathways. We can learn a new style. There is a 6th style, one that we all strive for. The secure attachment style. This is where you are comfortable with intimacy, but also secure in your independence. It is where you do not fear abandonment because you know your worth. Moving from an insecure style to a secure one is a journey. It takes work. It takes self-reflection, and often it takes the help of a therapist or counselor to navigate those old childhood wounds. The first step is simply recognizing your pattern. Did you relate to any of these styles? Did a specific description make your stomach drop or your heart race? If so, pay attention to that. That is your intuition telling you where your healing lies. It is okay to grieve the childhood you did not have. It is okay to be angry that you had to learn these survival mechanisms. But then, you must offer that inner child the love and safety they never received. You can be the parent to yourself that you never had. You can teach yourself that it is safe to feel, safe to trust, safe to say no, and safe to take up space. I encourage you to leave a comment below and let us know if any of these love styles describe you and your childhood. Sharing your story is a powerful act of vulnerability. It helps to break the shame and reminds us that we are all in this together, trying to figure out this complex thing called love. If you find this video insightful, please share it with someone who would benefit from it. You never know who might need to hear this message today. Don't forget to like this video to support our community. And subscribe to our channel for more content focused on psychology, growth, and emotional wellness. Thank you so much for watching and for being willing to look inward. It is the bravest work you will ever do. Remember to be gentle with yourself as you navigate these realizations. Healing is not a straight line. It is a spiral, and you are moving closer to your center with every breath. We will see you soon, ready to explore more of the beautiful, messy, and wonderful human experience. Until next time, may you find peace in your heart and clarity in your mind.